Hi everyone, my name is Anita Sharma and I am so excited to see so many things happening around us in the education system. On the one hand, we are battling with the corona times and developing new inventions and things and ways and means to transfer our classroom activities to completely digital and online. On the other hand, this education policy is really promising and exciting. The more I read, the more I get to know about it, and I realize that this is going to change the course of action of Indian education system. And one of the queries which I've had, I discussed with one of the colleagues of mine from IIM Indore Times, and today she is there with us, Professor Vishakha Majumdar. She is currently working at IIM Vishakhapatnam in the area of OB and HR, and I'm so excited to have her on Inkpot Hub Media to share her views on the new education policy. Before moving to Vishakha, please subscribe to this channel. Welcome Vishakha on Inkpot Hub Media, and having seen you after so many years is really itself an exciting thing for me. Welcome.
Dr. Anita, first of all, let me thank you for inviting me to your platform. It's a really good opportunity to meet you and interact with you on this issue, which is of great importance. As you rightly pointed out, the new year has been extremely new for the academicians, right, in every way. So we have been through a lot of novel experiences. So we have moved from offline teaching, classroom teaching to online teaching, and with that, the new education policy, which was actually something, a change that had been long awaited by academicians, has just come to the ground.
Hmm.
And see, the last education policy, it had been quite a long time since we had some change in that. It came in the 1980s. So, as per the new education policy, it has been a direction in which the educational system of the country is going to move for the next few years. So the idea of an education policy is basically putting down a strategic document that tells the overall direction, the overall spirit of the educational systems, what are the goals they want to achieve going ahead, and what are the targets we have and why we have those targets. So looking at it from that lens, the current education policy that has just been launched actually talks about some very important issues in Indian education. The
Hmm.
first thing it has actually focused on is flexibility. So if we look at the Indian educational system, what we see is that for many students across different levels of education, one challenge is the opportunity cost that comes with education. So every time they are enrolling in a course, they are probably giving up a year of job experience, which is very essential considering the economic status of many of our students. So this educational policy actually makes, with its policy of flexible entry and exit for many levels, actually makes it easier for students to take up education whenever they like. The second thing that I like about it is the focus on information and communication technology, which is the need of the hour. So there is a lot of focus on digital education and the building of what we call the 21st century skills in terms of critical thinking. So what this current policy is for also focusing on is making learning more student centric. So the teachers need to encourage flexibility in thinking and encourage research spirit early on. So that is also another very interesting thing that we are seeing in this policy. Apart from that, there has been a complete overhaul of the academic structure of the academic bodies. So we have seen that the AICT and UGC, they have been, there is a proposal for merging them into forming the Higher Education Council of India, which is another very interesting perspective. And so there are several changes that have come across in this policy, and we are actually pretty excited to see it roll on the ground and how it takes place.
So moving towards the higher education in India, so what is your opinion on abolishing or discontinuation of the MPhil program?
So actually, this current education policy has been in discussion in many forums because of this clause on MPhil. So
Mhm.
this has actually led to a little bit of confusion among students as to what kind of MPhils are getting discontinued, and what would be the impact on students who already have an MPhil or who are currently studying in such programs. So one thing that needs to be clarified in the very beginning is that when this new education policy mentions that MPhils will be discontinued, as of now it probably is excluding the MPhil from RCI. So Rehabilitation Council of India offers an MPhil in clinical psychology, which is probably one of the only MPhil in India which is considered as a professional degree.
Mhm.
So this is the MPhil which allows a person to practice as a clinical psychologist. So as of now, RCI has not issued any statement regarding the discontinuation of the MPhil program. So the RCI MPhil is continuing.
Mhm.
So that MPhil will continue as a clinical and professional degree. And now coming to the other MPhil programs, so this most likely is referring to the MPhil programs that are run by UGC in the various social science subjects. So here there are actually we can actually look at it from this perspective. One, we need to actually consider what purpose was the MPhil program fulfilling in the existing system. So if we actually look at the role of the MPhil program in the existing system, we see that it actually is a building ground for research. It gives students an exposure to higher studies in a particular subject and also gives them an opportunity to conduct research in that area. So as per, if we analyze the current policy, we see that a little bit of this need is being fulfilled by increasing the research focus in the MSc degree. So now what they're saying, instead of the second year of MSc being MS or Masters of MA or MSc degree, earlier it used to have around 6 months or 3 months worth of credit, which is given to research or dissertation. Now, in the current policy, it is being proposed, it is going to be an entire year of research. So increasing the research focus in the master's level will probably compensate for the need for an MPhil degree to an extent. So this is what is being proposed by the current theory and current policy. And if we look at the value of MPhil, how it has been used as a qualification for the various levels, we will probably see that MPhil degree kind of some universities treat the MPhil degree as an opportunity for skipping the entrance PhD written entrance exam. So if a candidate comes with an MPhil degree, that candidate does not have to appear for an written examination in the PhD degree, or if the candidate can come with a NET or SET exam score. So again, we see that there is kind of an alternative for an MPhil which was already existing.
Mhm.
MPhil also serves in certain under AICTE. MPhil also serves as a ground for increment in salary, right? So if a assistant professor joins with an MPhil, the assistant professor gets a increment over the current level when at the time of joining. That is also another thing we see for MPhil. However, if we consider none of these things were probably seen as persuasive enough to have an entire course available for this degree. So the point was, whenever we are launching a program, the question is that what is the unique need that a degree is fulfilling, which cannot be fulfilled by anything else. Now, if you look at the current education policy, the major focus is on removal of redundancy. So
Mhm.
that is actually the focus of complete overhaul of the structure of the educational bodies. They want to remove redundancy. So we might actually argue that probably the MPhil program was also removed because it was actually seen as a program which was not given its due in terms of professional benefits or in terms of academic benefits. Because a candidate with an MPhil is not really getting much, too much leverage over a student with an MSc degree. So that is exactly where the MPhil program was discontinued. But of course, we are yet to see the impact of this. And of course, a clarification needs to be there about professionals who already have an MPhil degree or who are currently studying. So what is the value? What is the value of the degree in the new system? That needs to be clarified. We are all waiting for to know that as well.
Mhm. So why I asked this question, because very recently, from the last year batch only, one of my MPhil students has gotten admission in the university, Georgia Tech University, Atlanta. And because she did MPhil in India, and some of the credits of a couple of courses has been transferred to her PhD program. So this particular aspect, that the credits can be transferred to the PhD program if it is well laid. So that was an added advantage. If it is discontinued, then this particular benefit which they were getting is now they will not get. So that was my apprehension. That's why I really wanted to have this conversation with you. Also, tell me, what is the benefit of or maybe a disadvantage of not having an MPhil while seeking admissions at IIMs, the PhD admissions?
So MPhils are not actually necessary conditions for getting an admission for a PhD degree in an IIM, and MS in the subject, or probably with a BTech degree also earlier. This is a sufficient condition. So if a candidate has an MPhil, there is no added benefit, that it is only taken as an added professional qualification, that academic qualification that a candidate is having, and it would be scored as such. So the policy for hiring PhD candidates, it varies from IIM to IIM, right? So every year there would be a revision of the policies, and there is a relook into the existing weightages that are given to the various qualifications that are available for candidates. So that is definitely there. So for IIMs, we cannot really say that which IIM is going to prefer which degree at which point of time, but nevertheless, it is not a necessary condition. So there, it is possible to have an admission in an IIM without an MPhil degree as well. So it is just an added thing, just like having additional research publications, additional teaching experience. If they have it, it is good, but it is not something which is absolutely necessary for even your application to be eligible.
Thank
So
you.
of course, it's a good thing to have it. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Vishakha. It was really, really nice to see your opinion on specifically on MPhil. We all are having certain confusions around it. So let things start implementing, and then we will see certain outcomes of it. I'm really thankful, and have a great evening.
All right. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.